What if you found your own face on a missing person's database? Same name, same birthday, same scar under your ear, but it says you vanished in 2008 and you've been living someone else's life ever since. It started with insomnia, the kind that creeps in slow, drags your thoughts into rabbit holes at 2 a.m., and keeps your mind wide awake even though your body begs for sleep. I was scrolling Reddit, a thread called Creepiest Unsolved Disappearances. It was full of old police reports, blurry faces, sad timelines that ended without answers. And then I saw a name, Jonah Michael Reed, born 2001, missing since 2000. My thumb froze. That's my name, that's my birth year. Same spelling, same middle name. Weird, right? So I clicked it, just out of curiosity. But when the page loaded, my heart dropped into my stomach because there was a picture, and it was me. I don't mean it looked like me. I mean it was me. Same eyes, same jawline, same birthmark under the left ear. Except this kid was listed as missing. Vanished from a foster home in Knox County, Tennessee. No trace since October 3rd, 2008. I read the file 3 times. Date of birth, June 14th, 2001. That's my birthday. Name, Jonah Michael Reed. That's exactly how it appears on my ID. Scar on the right eyebrow from a bicycle accident. I have that scar. It didn't make sense. I grew up in Nashville, went to Harding Academy, played soccer in high school. My parents, Sharon and Dan, have family photos of me at every stage. I was never missing, right? I stared at the screen for a long time. The face in that photo was mine. Younger, paler, but undeniably me. The details weren't just close, they were exact. My hands started shaking. I printed the page and tucked it into my backpack. The next day, I drove to the Knox County Sheriff's Department. I didn't even know what I'd say when I got there. I just couldn't sit still. The receptionist looked confused when I said I had information about an old case. A few minutes later, a detective came out to meet me. Older guy, balding, tired eyes. His badge said Connors. I handed him the missing persons file. He looked at it, then looked at me, and he froze. Jesus Christ, he whispered. He brought me into a back office and pulled out a manila folder from a drawer. On the front, Reed, Jonah M., 2008. He opened it slowly. Inside were more photos, the same one from the website, school reports, a crayon drawing of 2 identical stick figures standing in a forest. That was his last drawing, Connor said, made it 2 days before he disappeared. What does it mean? I asked. He shook his head. His foster mother said he started talking about a boy in the woods. Said he saw someone out there who looked just like him. Like a twin? More like a mirror. He said the boy spoke in his voice, moved like him, thought like him. My skin went cold. You said your name is Jonah Michael Reed? Connors asked. I nodded. Born June 14, 2001? Yes. He stared at me. What hospital? I don't actually know. He scribbled something on a notepad. Have you ever seen your birth certificate? I think so, once, a long time ago. Do your parents still have it? I shrugged, probably. He tapped his fingers on the table. The foster parents, Nathan and Beth Holloway, died in a car crash 3 months after Jonah disappeared, Connor said. The house was cleared. His belongings were boxed and stored. Case went cold in 2011. Do you think I'm him? I asked. He looked at me hard. I don't know what to think. He handed me a photocopy of the stick figure drawing. You might want to hold on to this. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at that drawing for hours. 2 identical boys, no faces, just black dots for eyes. In the middle of the night, I called my parents. Mom, I said, was I adopted? Silence. Why would you ask that? She finally said. I just need to know. More silence. Then she hung up, just like that. The next morning, I drove to the county records office in Nashville. I asked to see my birth certificate. They couldn't find one under my name. I gave them my social security number. Nothing. It was like I didn't exist. I tried my high school records. Same thing. No record of enrollment until freshman year, no elementary school data, no childhood immunization files. I only existed starting at age 13. Later that week, I dug through old family photo albums. Most of them started in 2015. A few birthday shots, some Christmas mornings. But there was one photo that felt wrong. It was a Polaroid. I was maybe 7 years old, standing in front of a tree line, but there was someone else in the photo. Another boy, standing behind me. Same haircut, same shirt, same scar on the eyebrow. Only difference was she wasn't smiling, and his skin looked off, like the color had drained from him. It didn't look like a twin. It looked like me, but wrong. That night I had the first dream. I was standing in front of an old farmhouse. It was surrounded by leafless trees. The sky was gray. Everything felt dead. I walked up to the door and went inside. The hallway smelled like mildew and rot. There was a staircase leading down. I took it. At the bottom was a mirror. I looked in. The reflection didn't move. It just smiled at me and said, "You were never meant to leave." I woke up gasping. My hands were covered in dirt. My socks were wet. There were muddy footprints on the hardwood floor. I live alone. I never left my bed. I tried to tell myself it was sleepwalking, stress, a bad dream, but it kept happening. Every night the dream got more vivid. The house, the boy, the mirror, and every night he spoke one line: "You took my life, Jonah. I'm just taking it back." I stopped sleeping after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, standing in the same hallway, at the bottom of the stairs, just smiling, watching. He never moved, never blinked. But every time I looked away, he got closer, and then the whispers started. Not in my dreams, in real life. Faint echoes in the corners of my apartment, soft voices repeating words I didn't understand. I tore apart my place looking for a speaker, a leak, anything. There was nothing. I finally broke down and went to my parents' house. When I walked in, my mom looked like she hadn't slept either. Her hands shook as she poured coffee. My dad didn't say a word. I found a missing persons case, I told them. The boy's name is Jonah Reed. He disappeared in 2008. My mom froze. "I need to know the truth," I said. "Who am I?" They didn't answer. So I took out the drawing, the one from the case file, the 2 stick figures. My mom's face went white. "You weren't supposed to find that," she whispered. "What do you mean?" She looked at my dad, then back at me. "You weren't supposed to exist." The silence after that felt endless. She finally sat down and began to speak. "We had a son, Jonah. He was 5 when we moved near the Holloways farm in Knox County." My breath caught in my chest. One day, she said, he came running inside, said he saw someone in the woods, someone who looked just like him. Her voice cracked. He wouldn't stop talking about it, said the boy followed him, mimicked him, repeated everything he said like a mirror that could move. "We thought it was just imagination," my dad said finally. But then he started changing, my mom said, getting quieter, colder. He stopped eating. He'd stand in front of the mirror for hours, smiling. Then one night he vanished. My chest felt tight. "We searched everywhere," she said, but the police never found anything. 3 months later, the Holloways died in a car crash. We moved away, started over. "But that's not the whole story, is it?" I asked. My dad stood up, walked to the garage, came back holding a dusty box. Inside was a Polaroid, the one I'd seen before, but it wasn't a copy, it was the original. Only now I could see it clearly. The boy standing behind me or behind him wasn't smiling, he was screaming, his mouth wide open in terror, and his eyes were pitch black. My hands trembled. "Who took this?" I asked. "We don't know," my mom whispered. I left without another word. That night, the dream returned, but it wasn't a dream anymore. I was awake, and I was there, standing outside the farmhouse, the same one from the drawings, the same one from my nightmare. Only this time, it was real. I could feel the cold, smell the rotting wood, hear the wind whistling through broken windows. I stepped inside. The hallway stretched longer than it should. The walls were lined with photographs. All of them were of me, or him. Same face, same body. In every picture, the boy looked more decayed, more wrong. Then I reached the basement door. It opened on its own. I went down the stairs. At the bottom, the mirror waited. But this time, the boy wasn't smiling. He stood on the other side, eyes sunken, jaw trembling. "You stole my life," he whispered, "and I want it back." I tried to speak, but no words came. "You left me here. You took everything." His hands pressed against the glass. "You're not real. You're the copy." The mirror began to crack. A sharp line split his face down the middle, then another, then dozens, until his image shattered into 1,000 shards. And I woke up, screaming. But I wasn't in my bed. I was standing in front of a mirror, not mine, the one from the basement, and the cracks were still there. Blood on my hands, glass on the floor, and behind me, a shadow. I spun around. Nothing. That's when the phone rang. It was Detective Connors. "I ran a check," he said. "There's no digital record of you before 2014. No school, no doctor visits, no birth certificate, nothing." "I know," I said quietly. "Do you remember anything from before that?" "No." He paused. "I did find something else," he said. "That house from the drawing, it's real. It belonged to the Holloways. It was torn down in 2009 after the fire." "What fire?" "Unexplained. Local legend says it was cursed. Kids dared each other to go inside. A few said they saw someone in the mirror, someone who looked like them." I hung up. I needed answers, so I went back to Knox County, to the land where the farmhouse once stood. It was just trees now, overgrown, quiet. But I found the foundation, charred wood, old stone, and in the center, half buried in the dirt, a mirror, still standing, cracked. I stared at my reflection, and the boy stared back. Only this time, I could see the truth. I wasn't the real one. I was the copy. The mirror had switched us, all those years ago. He was trapped inside, and I was set free. A mistake, a glitch, an accident in something older and darker than I could understand. And now he was coming back. That night, I left town. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I am. But sometimes when I look in a mirror, he's still there, watching, waiting, and smiling.